Welcome back to another vlog. My name is SAJJAD and today I've come to the historic Allaire village in the Allaire State Park. This is the second time I've come here, but there are some changes which are pretty new. First of all, when I first came here, I used that entrance which is closed for now because I think that entrance used to go next to the canal and then you would enter the village, but now you have to go through the entrance by the chapel. And then there's also a ticket you have to buy, so it's not that much. It's like $5, but yeah, like, so I'm gonna go in and basically show you guys the whole village according to the map I just received. Initially when I came here, I just went in random order, but today I'm gonna try to cover the whole thing in the order the map shows it. So let's see how it goes. So first thing we see when we enter the village now is the chapel, but I think last time when I came here, this was the last building I saw. However, I'm going to talk about the history of the building itself, and then I'm going to talk about the history of the village, because it is very interesting that this place even exists today. But let's just see what we have here. And then I'm going to talk about the chapel, and then before I go to the next building, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the village and what happened here. Okay, so I'll be referring to the map I received because I don't have that much history memorized. So this is the chapel, and it was built between 1832 and 1836. The southern half of the building was constructed in 1832 as a school and expanded in 1836 to become an Episcopal church. It then served simultaneously as a church, secular school, and community hall. And I think it is open to visit today. So let's see, because on Saturdays and Sundays, all the buildings are open. So everything you see here was built in between 1832 and 1836. Everything is original to the time, and it is beautifully preserved. I don't want to speak louder to no disrespect, but it is really amazing. So I'm just gonna head out and then go and see the other part of the village. So I just came out of the church, and it says that back in the time there used to be a few row houses over here, which I don't think exist anymore, but it's on either side of the church, and they were, I mean, this is basically between 1829 and 1834. And it says that there were 3 or more row houses building, one standing on either side of the church, as I said before. I don't know why I'm repeating myself, but let's see what else do we have. And then once I go from here to the other part of the village, I'm going to talk about the history of it, which is very interesting because this used to be the iron producing hub of the whole area or New Jersey. But one more thing I need to mention is that there's basically train rides that you can take. Obviously they are separate from this part of the village, and I think they close at 4. So if I have time, I might do it. So it says that admission $5, includes entry into the village, historic village. So I think this might be an entrance which is no longer used. So this is it. So this was the site of the row house, and right over there is the visitor center. Obviously I'm not going into the visitor center today, but there's also a museum in the visitor center back there. So let's just go ahead and see what else is here. I mean, obviously I know I've been here, I think over a year ago, but let's see. So let's just talk about the history of this area. So this place was established by James P. Allaire in 1822, and it was originally known as the Howell Works. And this place was basically famous for its bog iron production, and it used to supply iron or the pig iron to the Allaire foundry in New York. And even though today it's a living museum, but at one point of time this was a self-sufficient community with its own post office, general store, basically blacksmith shop, bakery, and working housing or houses. So this is the visitor center. I'm just going around to show you guys. And yep, they closed this trail. This was the original entrance to the park, and I think you can go into the rooms just to see. So let me see if any of the rooms are open to visit, because I think the visitor center entrance is right there. Or let's see if we can enter and visit the rooms. Nope, this is closed. I just want to give a whole view of the area or the visitor center or the park, and then I'm gonna go and see the furnace here and the blacksmith shop and the bakery as well. But let's see if this building is any way operational. I think only the visitor center is open, because I don't see any lights within the windows. So let's just go from here and go back on the main trail. So before I go in, I just wanted to see the canal, because the canal bed is supposed to be over here somewhere, and this canal was built by Allaire to increase the water flow into the village, so they can actually yep, that's the canal bed right there. I don't know if I can go, but let's just cross the boundaries of the park just to see the, I think I can go from there. At this point I am exiting the park, but I just want to show you guys the canal bed. And it was built so, you know, as I said, so the water can go into the town, and eventually it was built by the nearby stream. So this is the canal or the canal bed right here, and it's literally next to the parking lot. And as I said before, original entrance, and here it goes, but I'm not following it today. I'm just gonna go into the village now. The first building you see after the visitor center, and basically on the old trail, was the foreman cottage. The foreman of the iron furnace used to live here, and this was the house for a family. You can see how tiny it is. So people back in the days lived in very close spaces, with a small garden up front, and yeah, it's open to see. I don't know where were the beds or the bedrooms were, maybe on the second floor, but this, oh no, they have beds here. So this is it. This is the foreman's cottage, which is pretty tiny, but it is something. Now I'm just gonna go into the village and see the rest of the buildings, and hopefully we have enough time to go on a train ride, which is on the other side of the park. I don't know how I always pick the wrong day to come. It's pretty hot today, you can see me sweating. However, let's just talk about the peak time for this village, or when the community that used to live here peaked. So it was between 1832 and 1836. However, some say that 1836 was the time when the village peaked, and it used to employ over 400 people at that time. However, there was economic depression in 1837, and after that this whole place saw a decline, and basically after 1837 this place could not recover, and eventually in 1848 the whole place shut down. But lucky for us that they decided to preserve it, and this is the mill pond. Let's just see what they have. So this was the stream that supplied power to 5 water wheels, one each at the sawmill, polishing and finishing mill, screw factory, gristmill and file mill, and the furnace complex. It empties into the Manasquan River. So this was the stream, And I think they also have some information over here, but it is pretty amazing. Also, there used to be a canal that used to go from here to the blast furnace back there, which eventually I'm going to go and see, but it doesn't exist anymore. But this was the main power source for this whole community. However, right over here used to be a grist mill, but unfortunately it was not preserved because I think for a certain period of time this whole place was deserted and the state never took care of it, and eventually that led to the loss of a grist mill that used to be here. And they say that these are some of the remaining parts of the mill. So let's see what we have, and right next to it is the blacksmith shop. But this is what's left of the grist mill that used to exist over here once upon a time, and now it's lost. And there are some steps back there. I don't know if you can see, but it is. And now let's just go in and see the blacksmith shop. It is in working condition, and here we go. Hi, how are you? So this is what a 19th century blacksmith shop looks like. You have different furnaces, and hi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. And we also have some tools here. So you didn't use the lower part of the furnace?
Sorry?
So the lower part of this is the furnace, right? I mean, so what about the lower part of the furnace, or is the fire just lit on the top of it?
It sits in a little inward pyramid shape
Okay.
tub. And so that's where it's sitting. It has a bunch of paper and wood in it.
Uh-huh.
And then what he did is just take a big match, start lighting that paper so it catches the pieces of wood. And then that helps light the coal
Okay.
in the process. And that's why he's using the bellows. And it helps produce that oxygen the fire needs in
Got
order to get bigger and stronger.
And eventually, whatever is left, that goes under there.
Yes, so the underneath that is our ash trap, and so any ash that falls from the fire will fall underneath there.
Okay. Here it also says that it was built in 1836. Now I am heading towards the bakery, and let's see how that is. I hope we get to try some of the bread, I guess. So let's see how that goes. So before I enter into the bakery, I just want to let you guys know the information I got from the map. It says that this might be the communal shop back in time, 1835, and this is where people used to bring in their dough to bake pies or bread. And even over here you see 1835. However, now it's time for me to go in the bakery and see how it is. This is it. Thank you.
See, this is the whole length of it.
Okay.
And then out here, there's a hatch where they could open to clean the ash out, and then they wouldn't have to clean the ash.
Inside, right?
Yeah.
So this was basically 8 feet and then 4 feet wide,
Well,
and
at
this,
least.
yeah,
Could be 6, I don't know. Because it goes inside. It's
inside. And you said it took like 8 hours to
8
heat up the
hours
whole thing.
About to heat it.
Okay.
And when they felt it was hot enough,
They would start baking. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty amazing to see.
that had to be reconstructed because a lot of it.
Only the outer part or the
well,
internal
part of the inside too.
Okay.
Because you could tell the age of the brick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like these.
Yeah,
bricks-
these look new.
Right.
and-
Well, these are older.
Yes, the upper.
It's the same thing with the blacksmith shop. That's what the village does because the state doesn't provide funding. So we're here to raise the funds
Okay.
to reconstruct and restore the buildings and keep them from falling
Makes
down.
sense. But this is the original bakery.
You can see the sides.
Okay, so now I'm gonna see the side of the bakery. There it is. So this is this was used to bake pies, and this is the handle to clean, right? To throw down all the ashes, right?
Yeah, under those logs right
Okay.
there is a vent.
Okay, and then eventually that would open up and
Right,
it
they
will.
could open it, they could scrape the ash down there and then shut it and put the bread in.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, this is it.
You can also see that's original brick towards the floor.
And then everything else was
And
built
then
up.
they had to,
Rebuild
had
the
to
whole thing.
reconstruct part of it
Nice.
because it was crumbling. I mean, it was.
This is the original part of the whole stove. So just left the bakery. Let me just close the door. I don't want to leave it open. Okay. And now I think according to the map, the next house should be the manager's house, which is right over here. And then right next to that is the general store. But I did get to buy apple strudel. I'm gonna try it in a bit, but I think this is the manager's house, and yep, here it is. But this is the side view of the bakery, and then that's the blacksmith shop, and whatever they make in the blacksmith shop, they sell it in the general store. So it says that it is open, so let's just go in and see the manager's house. According to the map, it says it was built in the late 18th century. The house predates the mammoth furnace. I think that's over there, and is the oldest structure on the property. During the peak years of iron production, this building probably housed furnace office clerks. The upstairs is closed. Even this room, let me just sneak in. But this part of the house is closed off. Or maybe we go from here. Hi, how are you?
Good.
So this is the manager's house, right?
This is the manager's house, oldest house on the property.
Okay.
Okay, it was built in 1750.
1750? Okay.
Yep. Mr. Allaire came along in 1822, so this building was here for roughly 72 years before Mr. Allaire came along.
Nice. And there used to be something before the whole Allaire foundation?
It was called the How Works. It was a very small operation.
Okay.
It had a few, what am I trying to think of? It had log cabins up by where you parked. All right, and it had a small furnace up there.
Okay. But
So
other than that, there was nothing. But eventually,
nothing here. Mr. Allaire did everything else here.
and then it became a self-sufficient community.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we
Yes,
can.
you
Okay.
can walk through.
All right.
Now this building also, if you're interested, has a lot of unique things about it. One of them is there's a kitchen underneath of us.
Also, they
So
underneath this
under
part.
here, right underneath here. So this was downstairs was the summer kitchen.
Okay.
All right. So on a hot day like today, rather than open up this big fireplace, they would cook downstairs and keep the place cooler.
All right.
All right.
Can we
and
see
then-
the other kitchen or no? Or that's closed for the people?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
This is the only.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's very dangerous down there. The steps are treacherous, so
Oh, okay.
they don't let anybody go down there.
Yeah.
But he also had his own oven.
Okay.
All right. Everybody else in the village had to come over to the bakery.
And this is a 18th century one.
This is This was original with the house.
Okay. Can we open that or no?
No.
Okay,
That's,
it's sealed
yeah,
off.
that's permanently closed.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. But again, that was one of the perks that he had. He's got 4 bedrooms upstairs.
Nice.
You know, he's got a formal dining room, a formal parlor. So yeah.
Nice.
This was quite a luxurious house for the.
For the time being, yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
Feel free to wander through.
Thank you. So this was a dining area, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. And everything here is original to the time, or was it like late?
Everything's original to the time period.
Okay.
Okay, basically, if you came to visit the manager in the 1820s and 30s, this is exactly how it would look.
Okay. And was this like preserved during that time, or was it like no? It was brought in later on.
There's a long history there.
Okay.
The state didn't take over until the 1950s.
And so
Okay, so nothing was really preserved until after the state got it. So, you know, there's a long history of deterioration.
is this place haunted?
Tricky question.
Okay.
Okay.
Since it's part of the ghost story.
There's been, we tell stories of events that have happened to people that work here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell
And
me
so
one of the events?
No.
No, it's only.
It's
So I have to come back in October. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but it's all true stories of things that have happened to the people here. So it's up to your interpretation.
If we, how we
Did
perceive
they just
it.
imagine it, or did something really happen?
Okay, makes sense.
And then like.
But just for
we're
the.
gonna go into the basement of the blacksmith, which again is never open to the public.
So in October, that's the best time to come to see the
If
whole.
you really want to see the village and see all the parts of it that you can't normally see, that's the trip.
The
to
time,
do it.
okay.
Alright.
But just now, you know, since you mentioned it, is this place haunted?
Everybody that works here has pretty much had some kind of weird thing that happened to them in here.
Okay.
Nobody has actually seen a ghost,
But there might
but
be.
like lights pop on and off of their own accord.
Okay.
You know,
There are signs.
a lot of the people that work here, before they come into the building, they'll open the door a little bit and say, "Hello, I'm here. I'm going to open the building up today." They feel it lets the presence, let them, know that they're coming in.
No, okay.
All right, but again,
That's just a tradition, I guess.
That's
So
up to your
I'm gonna think of it
interpretation,
as a tradition then.
but they don't want to say it's haunted, and part of that is because they don't want paranormals coming here.
Makes sense, because otherwise it will be
And they'll have all these weird people
yeah.
coming here and trying to break in
with
at
the
night
EMF
and-
devices. And
Yeah,
makes
they
sense.
don't want that.
Yeah.
So basically, we're supposed to say no.
No, okay.
It's not haunted.
But there
But
have been
there's
signs.
weird things that happen that you should find very interesting.
Makes sense.
Hello.
So this is
Welcome,
the
welcome.
original pottery.
How are you guys today?
So something good to know. If I feel something, I'll let you know. But this place is somewhat haunted. But this is the old ink pot and pen. And yeah, I'm not gonna touch anything. But piano. So I think this is the oldest VR headset. You look through it and then you would place the cards in front of it, and then eventually that would show you the place right here. I'm gonna try to see. I'm not gonna touch anything because I don't want to mess anything up. But this is a flute, some dices. Now I feel stupid. I thought this portion was closed off, but apparently you just have to go around. And now I'm gonna leave this place and go to the next building. So this is the back side of the building of the manager's house. I get to learn good stuff, and they have 4 bedrooms up there. Now I'm heading to the general store, but before that, let me try the strudel. So let's see how it is. It's nice, like a pastry. I mean, that's what it is. But now I'm heading to the general store. So I just have to correct myself. That's the general store right there, which is a 4-story building, and this was the tallest of its time, basically back in 1830s when it was being built. But now it's just a random building. I'm just definitely gonna go in and talk about the history of it. But before that, this is the carpenter shop. And the carpenter shop, it was built in 1835, and it sported the ironwork. The carpenter produced patterns and molds for cast iron products. So let's see if it's open or not. Nope, it's closed. I don't know if we can see inside, but maybe there's another entrance. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's another door on the other side. My bad. This is the carpenter's shop. Hi, how are you, sir?
All right, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. And I thought that's the entrance. That's why I was trying to get in.
It's no matter, everybody does that.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. But Are these tools time original or?
Well, they're, I can't tell you exactly. Well, let's put it this way. So far as I know, none of this was here in 1836.
Okay.
Some of these come from 1836. Others are reproductions.
Okay.
But they're all appropriate.
Time
to the
appropriate,
period,
okay.
Yeah.
So what would that star do, like back there?
Like this?
Yeah.
What's that for? That was sort of illustrated the main purpose of the carpenters.
Okay.
Because the purpose of the place, a guy named James Allaire made steamship engine parts. For that he needed iron, and he decided to buy this place in order to supply the iron. The iron is obtained from this.
This is a bog iron,
That's
right?
bog iron.
Okay.
Right, which basically you melt and separate slag from iron, and you ship these up to New York to his foundry.
Okay.
There are some things they made here, but the primary purpose was to get this.
This is a pig iron, right?
This is pig iron.
Pig iron,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's actually a story that I don't know if anybody knows if it's necessarily true or not, but the idea is that when you're tapping a furnace, you tap the molten iron, the puddle of molten iron at the bottom, you run it off into a channel made of packed wet sand. And then you run it off into smaller channels set to whatever size you want the pigs to be. And supposedly, at some point, somebody said this looked like a sow feeding her piglets. And that's where the term pig iron,
Comes, okay.
We don't actually know for sure, but it's a plausible story.
Makes sense.
But what the carpenters did, they made the molds. And what you did is you just make a mold like that. That's just a star. You would put that into a pack it into clay.
Okay.
When you take it out, you have your empty space. You fill that with molten iron, let it cool, you have an iron star. The reason the carpenters are so important, though, is that not only did they make things like, the forms, as this is called, make forms for like pots and kettles and things like that, and toys and kids' toys. But the main thing is that they had to be able to make these.
These are the
These are gears.
Gears, okay.
For the steamship engines. And
So these are wood gears?
no,
Or they're iron gears?
this is the form
Okay.
that you would use to make that to fill with iron.
Eventually, okay.
The point is that to do this, you not only need to know your tools, you need to know trigonometry. Because you need to calculate the angles of all of those teeth. And have to be able to do it with sufficient precision that it will mesh with another iron gear. So the carpenters they were probably the highest paid crafters here.
And they were kind of mathematicians as well in that sense?
Well, you had to know the math, yeah. That's just it, you had to, in order to do your job. So they get paid like $1.75 a day.
Which is
in the period was a
very high-paying job, I guess.
Well, I wasn't very high paying, but it was comfortable.
Comfortable.
Comfortable middle class living.
How much is that? $1.55?
$1.75.
75, damn.
And this is just my speculation. They may have gotten a little more here because that's in like New York prices for a skilled carpenter. And to tempt them to leave New York to go down to the wilds of the Jersey woods,
They would have to
they
make
may
them.
have upped it a nickel or two.
Makes
You know,
sense.
so I mean, we don't know, but
Yeah.
still $1.75 a day is
Which
still
is pretty
a good,
nice.
It's still a good income.
Yeah, makes sense.
I've always been impressed by the carpenters, not only for the skill, but for the stuff you had to keep in their head.
Exactly.
Like all those things. Those are all planes and chisels of different sizes, width,
Which one to
shapes.
use and which one not.
And you had to know. You had to be doing something and say, all right, I need, where is it? Oh, yeah, I need that. You had to know just what tool you needed.
Alright, so just left the carpenter store. Now I'm going to the general store now, which is that building right there. So I am standing in front of the Howell Works general store, and I just have to correct myself. I said it was the largest building or tallest building of its time. That is not correct. It was, however, built in 1835, and this 4-story building was the retail and wholesale store of its time, and this was the largest store in New Jersey, not of its time. And this was complete with a freight elevator to all works. It stocked goods from the Howell Iron Works and nearby farms, as well as goods bought from New York City. It served a clientele not only from the village but also from up to 40 miles around, so which is pretty amazing. So now let's just get into the store. Let's see if this door is open. Otherwise we would have to go around and see, but it is open. So this is the general store. Hi, how are you? Hi.
A lot of things
So-
that dry rapidly. Good day.
So this is the general store.
Vaughn, do you need him to do anything else before he leaves? Do I need to get anything else? No, I think we're good.
Yeah, I might have to come back to buy some of the stuff here.
Oh, that's true.
It's obviously now filled with modern amenities and candies. Yeah, these looks good, but I would have to, again, as I said before, I would have to come back to buy some of these things, but I cannot carry them around while I'm looking around the buildings. Marble harmonica. I think this is the train whistle. Okay. Don't know what it is, but must be something. Oh, this is different than this one. This is a train whistle. Okay, that's the spy eye. All right, dominoes. So it's a nice little store, just pretty amazing. And we have a sewing machine. I think this is for cotton candy. So we have like miniature replicas of all the, I mean, this is an iron Statue of Liberty. There's a pirate ship, elephant. So it is pretty amazing. Yep, the upstairs is not allowed, but here we have some pickles. All right, this is the cookie jar. I think this is all the ingredients that you can use. Apple cider, apple butter sauce, and yeah, some drinks. So this is it. So now I'm gonna head out and go to the other buildings now. So I'm gonna come back here after my tour is complete. So let's see how that goes. So I think the next stop should be the furnace, and then I'm gonna go around, and I think that would conclude my village tour. So let's see. There is one building I haven't seen yet, so I'm gonna go to that one as well. But this is so far pretty amazing, better than the last time. That's the top part of the furnace, but let's just go there and see how it is. You have to take this trail. I remember this bit. Alright, so as it says, the blast furnace is on this side. So you have a small hiking adventure as well as part of the whole tour. So just go around, and as I said in the beginning, there used to be a canal that used to power the furnace because the water would go on the wheel. Eventually it would turn, and that would power the whole thing up. So let's see how it goes. I'm not sure if it's a plant, but I do smell, it smells like skunk. Maybe it's a smell of the one of the bushes or the plant here, but let's see how it goes. But just to tell you guys, that's the furnace right there. Only the furnace is left, but I think there used to be a building around that which is now gone, so that's not a good thing. But hey, whatever we have now, it's better than having nothing, because as I've been told many times, that before 1950s the state never took interest in it, and that was the cause of the demise or the downfall of this whole area. So I think, yep, this is how it might have been back in the time. There was a building, I guess, but now we have just the furnace. Alright, so this is the furnace of Allaire village you must be wondering what just happened here. So apparently the file I recorded back in September, I guess, it was corrupt, so I had to come back and record. This is what happens when you don't edit your videos on time. You wait a long time and eventually find out that one of the file is corrupt, so you have to come back and redo the whole thing. But let's just get back to the furnace. So today it is known as the furnace of Allaire village or Howell Iron Works, but the origin of this furnace goes back to late 1700s or early 1800s. However, the golden age for this furnace started in 1822 when James P. Allaire purchased this area because he needed a steady supply of pig iron. And that's when this whole thing became historic, because this, I mean, as I've been telling you guys, I mean, I was telling you in the other video, since I'm re-recording, this whole area was self-sufficient and this was the main reason. However, there used to be a building over here. Now that building is gone. You can see in this picture over here how the pig iron is coming out. Eventually I'm gonna talk about the upper part of the furnace from up there. That's from the old video, but just to cover it, this is how the pig iron used to come out, and that's how they used to put in the bog iron and the coal and all the required materials into the furnace. There used to be a shed, but apparently this is the only surviving architecture of that time. You can see it's well maintained. Apparently this is where the iron would have come out, and somewhere around here would have been the marking for the pig iron, but apparently we don't have that anymore. But just to get a close-up, this is how it is. It is completely sealed off, and let me just go around and look from the other side since I'm here again. But I'm definitely going to use the footage from the first time when I came here during the recording of original video. But just in case if I need this footage, I mean, I do have some clips from that time, but the actual footage where I was talking about this furnace, that footage is gone. So I had to come back and redo the whole thing. But this is the other side of the furnace. I mean, I think the iron would come out from 4 different sides, I guess, or whatever the process was. But this is how it is. Again, this side is all closed off. I think this might be for the air ventilation. If you look up there, that's where they used to put in the coal and all the raw material. So I'm definitely going to talk about it. You'll see that in the video. I'll be standing up there. So hopefully that part of the footage is still good. I'm gonna try to finish this video as soon as possible. But this is it. And then on the side here, this is a pipe. It looks like a cannon, but I think this is the pipe. Not sure what it is used for, but if I remember correctly, this was found somewhere in the village and they just put it over here. It looks like a cannon to me, but this is it. This is my 3rd time coming here to do the recording for the furnace. So hopefully this time the file stays good, and then I'll be able to post the video. And then I'm just gonna head out and you see me talking about the other part or the remaining part of the village. So I see you guys there. So now I am heading to the mansion, and then eventually I think I would have only like 2 more buildings. But right on top of the hill there used to be a charcoal deposit site. So let's see how that would be, because I don't think I saw any deposit site. I think it was destroyed, or there's just, you know, signs of it. But we're gonna see all of that once I am up the hill. Even though I'm not Jack and Jill, but I'm up the hill. Yeah, that was a little cringy, but here we go. now I'm heading towards the mansion, but before that I'm gonna look to the top part of the furnace and show you guys from where they used to deposit the bog iron, and then it would go down, melt, and we would have the pig iron from there. So this is how it would have looked like back in the time. You can see the furnace head right there, the building, and just people working, but this is the top portion of it. And I think there would have been a bridge that would lead to the top of the furnace, and then you would drop the bog iron, and eventually from there it would melt. Yep, here we have that. So I guess the water wheel would be on the right side over there, and the hole on top of the furnace is called the charging hole. They would drop the bog iron, and then eventually the wheel would power it with the air, and that would go through the pipes. And here they just say that it's furnace stack, seashell flux, bog iron, charcoal, and eventually when everything is being, and this is where I think the air is coming in, and when everything is done correctly, you will have your iron, as I said before. So which is pretty amazing. However, it's a little sad that a major part of New Jersey history is now gone, or it's in ruins. However, right across from the furnace we have the charcoal depository or charcoal deposit site. I think this is a good backdrop, but this is where they would keep the charcoal, and it was built in 1832. And this 3-story brick structure with arching open bay provided storage of raw material used in iron making: charcoal, bog iron, ore, and seashells. A large ramp once reached to the 3rd floor. So this is where you would have that building, and from here you would go straight to the furnace. Unfortunately, all we have now is the the floor, and this is how it used to be back in the time. As said, it's a 3-story building, so it would go straight into the furnace, and this is how they would make the charcoal, and that was it. Again, it's sad that these things are lost in time. It should have been preserved, but all that remains of the whole area is the wall. But now I'm heading to the mansion. So here we have the mansion and dormitory ruins. It is also called the big house. However, according to the map again, the east side of the house was, the eastern end of the mansion was built before the mammoth furnace, which used to be there, but the 3-story building was later on added under the Allaire's ownership, and they used to keep the workers here. They used to reside in the building, and also the manager of the workers also used to live here. However, it also says that the Allaire family, the owner's family, also used to reside in the building over here. So I thought I should get this out of my way before I go in and see the building from inside, if it is open. But this was built in 1835. So on one side we just have the ruins, and yep, I think this is the entrance, and then we can go in. But this is it. This is the outer part, and then I think go in. There's the door up there. I think this part is lost, so let's see. Okay, so I have to wait here because the tour leaves every 20 minutes between 11 and 3:40 p.m. So I'm gonna wait, and then eventually we'll see it from inside. But this is it. This is the remains of the ruins of the house. So I just came out from the house. When you enter from there, you go straight into the kitchen. Obviously there's a room before that. I don't know which room is that, But then you enter the kitchen, and obviously they have a dining table there. I mean, it's not a dining table, but it's a kitchen table. Then they have a washing bucket where you would wash yourself, your clothes, your dishes. There's a hand pump there, obviously the stove, some vegetables hanging from the ceiling, and then you go into the rooms. I mean, obviously you're not allowed to, go and touch the things there, but there's a dining room, and there's the room with the piano, and then there's room with the desk. So in the dining room they have all the furniture from the time period. It's about 200 years old, so it was a good experience. Unfortunately we couldn't go up, and that's because they're doing some renovation up there. And one thing I got to learn is that the lower portion have wallpapers, and then the top floor does not have wallpapers in it because it would attract the bed bugs, and that was not a nice thing to have back in the time or even today. So now I'm just gonna head back there and see what that building is, because this portion I've covered, and I think that's the only portion left. And eventually I think I would go on the train ride. So hopefully I have enough time to do all that. So this building right here is the carriage house and the gardener's quarter. Let's just go ahead and see it from inside. Obviously we have a carriage here, but it says that the front section of the building is where the company carriage were kept. The Howell Works gardener and his family occupied the 3-story back section of the building. But this is where you would have the carriages, and and then the stables are next to the building. Unfortunately we don't have the stable building anymore, but there's obviously ruins of it. So this says that these were used to stable the horses or the work animals back in the time. Again, I think I can enter the stable. So here we go. That's a bad joke, but this was the stable and that's the carriage house. So let me just leave the stable now. So now I'm heading to the enameling furnace, which was built between 1828 and 1834, or 34. However, they say the northern half was built first, but they don't know the use of it. But then the other half, the second half, contained the enameling furnace, where iron hollowware was coated in an enamel wash and then fired. It only operated for 3 years in the late 1930s. So 1830s. My bad. I guess you can have that kind of error. It's okay, it's too hot outside today. But this is the enameling furnace, and the hollowware is basically your utensils, your cookware. And now I am heading in to see it. So let's see how it goes. I guess this is the entrance. So this is the furnace right here, and I am heading in. Okay. So it says, please do not touch. Allaire's in the Gildridge. It says unknown artist. I think that's how it might have been for quite some time. There's some glare. I'm trying to see if I can show you guys the picture without the glare. And again, the Monmouth County map. Which building is this? This is the Ella Mockridge. Summer 1898, oil and canvas. So in 1898, this is how it used to look. Alright. We have something nice. A typewriter. Look at that. It says, please do not touch. Nice. And we also have a sword. So let's just go ahead and see what we have. So this is the section of original water wheel used to power the old sawmill, found underground at the site of the mill in 1973. The site of the old mill was north of where we are standing in the enameling building, most likely where Atlantic Avenue crosses the mill run now. This is where they would keep the bottles, I guess. It's a wine rack. with pretty old wine bottles. I thought that's Trump. It looks like him. Okay, but these are the only things we have here. We have another typewriter. That's the baby carriage. But this is it. So this is the last building that we were supposed to see today. Again, it was in the 60s. It used to look like this. Now let's just leave. And I think there's a sitting area here. But this is it. And now I'm back out. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go and try to see, basically try to catch a train and see where that takes us. And hopefully it will be fun because it was definitely worth it. However, it's a little different than my first time when I came here. I did saw 2 buildings over there which I think now collapsed. That time the video was obviously in Urdu or Hindi, however you want to pronounce that or say that, but it's definitely a better improvement, I would say, to the whole park. I did try to cover as much as I can, try to tell you everything off the map. This was my little cheat sheet today, but the weather, that's what's killing me. But I'm gonna go and catch the train, and then maybe that's when I conclude the whole trip. So let's see how that goes. So finally I'm outside the village. It's not a good view, but now I am heading to the train tracks or the station to see if I can catch a train which takes you around, and we'll see how far we can go. So supposedly they close at 4. I just hope I catch it before it leaves. I think it's just coming in. So I just have to make sure that I buy the ticket before its next stop. There it comes, right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I think this is where I buy the ticket and then eventually go for the ride. Looks nice and fun. I hope it's fun. There it is. There it is. There we go. Yep. I think this is where we buy the tickets. So let's just go in. Alright, so just bought my ticket. Here it is. And I just have to go by that building. It should be fun. They have a little store in there, but the ticket itself is like $6, and then to go into the park is $5. So in total, if you're planning to come here, it would be around $11 per person, including the park ticket and the train ride. But they're only open on Saturdays and Sundays, I guess. So you have to make sure that you come on time and on the right days. But let's see, once the train comes, then we get our train ride. And I did ask the person in there, they say it goes around in a loop twice. So let's see how that goes. But I'm gonna wait for the train now. You can hear the bells. There comes the train, and my ticket is all ready, so I think I should be good. But here we go. So I think we have 2 carriage options, one closed and one open. So I'm just gonna wait for my turn to get on the train, and then eventually we'll see how it goes. There you go. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Alright, I'll look into the carriage afterwards, but I just wanna get the best seat possible, and then I'll see how it goes. I would have loved to sit in the engine, but I guess that's not the option. So I'm gonna be sitting right here and see how it is. Alright, I think we're about to leave now. Alright. There we go. And and the journey started.
Once again, folks, welcome to the Pine Creek Railroad.
It's a nice ride, I guess. So this is the rear carriage. I thought might as well take a look. Just heading out now. All right.
Is that everybody on there?
Yes,
All right.
I was the last one.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Enjoy, sweetheart.
Have a good one. Alright, so I just left my trip and it was okay, it was decent. It's a smaller loop than I thought it would be because when I was in the park I was told that it's gonna go around the park. Well, that's not the case. I hope you liked the video. I definitely had a great time here, especially in the Allaire village over there. However, the train was a little bit of disappointment. I thought it's gonna go around the park, but it just went around. That's the small loop. That's the most we went around. But other than that, it was definitely worth it. Again, I tried to share as much as I can. I didn't memorize some part of the history around, about the park, but then once I was handed the map, I was like, okay, let's just go off of that rather than just talking from the memory. But I did try to cover as much as possible, and I hope you guys liked it. And I think this is my time to say goodbye. And if you like the video, make sure you leave a comment letting me know how you like it. And don't forget to like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon as well. Other than that, I see you guys in my next video. Until then, take care. Thank you very much.